Howdy, y'all, and welcome to Two Truths and a Lie Middle East Edition. In this game, three statements will appear on the screen. Two of them will be true, and one will be a no good, stinking lie. It is your job to figure out which one is the lie. Let's get started. First, Saudi Arabia does not have a single river in the entire country. Next, all countries in the Middle East are Arab countries, meaning most of the people there are of Arab ethnicity and probably speak Arabic as their main language. And finally, the tallest building in the world is in the Middle East. Which one is the lie? It is all countries in the Middle East are Arab countries. That is not true. Let's take a look. So, here's Saudi Arabia. It is a very large country, but despite how large it is, there is not a single permanent river anywhere in the country. This is the tallest building in the world. It is the Burj Khalifa. It is located in the city of Dubai, here in the United Arab Emirates. However, despite the fact that the United Arab Emirates is definitely an Arab country, as are most of the countries in the Middle East, several of them are definitely not. For example, Turkey. In Turkey, most people are Turkish. In Iran, most people are Persian. And as any Turkish or Persian person will tell you, that is nothing at all like being an Arab person. Let's see what we have next. Okay. Christianity began in the Middle East, or one of the richest countries in the world is in the Middle East, or all Middle Easterners have dark hair and skin. Which one of those is the lie? Well, it is all Middle Easterners have dark hair and skin. Let's take a look. Christianity began right over here in this area in the Middle East. The I said that one of the richest countries in the world is in the Middle East. There's actually a few of them. United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, all of those are extremely wealthy countries where the average person actually makes more money than the average citizen of the United States does. And take a look at these cute kids looking at an incredibly cute puppy there. These kids are Kurdish. The Kurdish people are a group of people who do not have a country of their own, but they live generally up in this region up here. And as you can see in the picture, Kurdish people quite often have blonde hair and fair skin, and the Kurdish people live exclusively in the Middle East. So definitely not all Middle Easterners have dark hair or skin. Okay, let's see what we have next. Okay, most of the world's oil comes from the Middle East. Or, in most Middle Eastern countries, more women go to college than men. Or, the Middle East is mostly in Asia. All right. The lie is most of the world's oil comes from the Middle East. Let's take a look. We'll start with college. So if you look at these charts, men are in blue, women are in red. And in more than half of these Middle Eastern countries, more women are going to college than men. As far as the Middle East being mostly in Asia, well, there's a few exceptions. This little bitty chunk of Turkey right here, that is actually considered to be in Europe. Egypt is often included in the Middle East, and most of Egypt is in Africa, but the vast majority of countries in the Middle East are in the continent of Asia. As far as oil, if you look at the chart here, the Middle East supplies a big chunk of the world's oil, usually a little less than a third of it, but that's not most. It might be bigger than most of the other sections of the world, but it's not more than all the other sections of the world put together. Not even close. Let's keep going. All right. The train was invented in the Middle East. Coffee was invented in the Middle East, or writing was invented in the Middle East. Which of these was not invented in the Middle East? The answer is The train. Okay, let's take a look here. This is a very old picture of coffee being served in the Middle East. It is believed to be the place that first served coffee anywhere in the world, and the very first writing. This is cuneiform, which began over in the very middle of the Middle East, right here. The train, on the other hand, was invented in Britain. Okay, let's see what we got next. Most countries in the Middle East are predominantly, that means mostly, Muslim countries. Muslim meaning people who belong to the religion Islam. Next, in Kuwait, gasoline is cheaper than water. And finally, most Middle Easterners live out in the desert or mountains, away from cities. Which one of these is the lie? It is most Middle Easterners live out in the desert or mountains, away from cities. So, not all of the countries in the Middle East are Muslim countries. For example, Israel here is predominantly Jewish, but most countries in the Middle East are mostly Muslim. In Kuwait, it is quite true that this 5 gallon jug of water would actually cost you more money than filling up your car with 5 gallons of gas. Kuwait is here, and it has a very similar problem to Saudi Arabia. It does not have any rivers or other easy sources of fresh water running through it, but it is sitting on a lot of oil, which is, of course, what gasoline is made out of. So gas is actually cheaper than water. And the false statement was that most Middle Easterners live out in the deserts or mountains. That is the exact opposite of the truth. Most Middle Easterners live in cities. There are some people who live out in the deserts or live out in mountains, but those are in the minority. All right, let's see what we have now. 5 of the world's 25 poorest countries are in the Middle East, or the country with the most Muslims isn't even in the Middle East, or about 90% of the people living in the United Arab Emirates are immigrants, meaning they moved there from a different country. Which one is a lie? It is that 5 of the world's 25 poorest countries are in the Middle East. As a matter of fact, at the time I'm recording this video, none of the world's 25 poorest countries are in the Middle East. So, the country with the most Muslims is actually Indonesia, which is thousands of miles away from even being sort of considered being in the Middle East. Here we have another picture of Dubai, the city in the United Arab Emirates. There are way more immigrants in that country than there are citizens. Nearly 9 out of every 10 people who live there is an immigrant from somewhere else rather than a citizen of that country. Okay, let's see. When asked, most people in the Middle East couldn't find the United States on a map, or on the day of the 9/11 attacks, all flags in Turkey flew at half mast and candlelight vigils were held in Iran. Or Saudi Arabia is about to run out of something called fossil water, and it's a huge problem. Which of these is a lie? It's the first one. When they conducted a survey, nearly every person in the Middle East could correctly point out the United States on a map. As for the other two, here is a picture of the flags in Turkey being held at half staff because of the 9/11 attacks. And exactly 1 week after the attack, here is one of the many candlelight vigils that were held in Iran to pray for the people who got hurt and died. And over here, well, we can see some of Saudi Arabia's circle farms, which, as you can see, they are basically building farms right in the middle of the desert. That takes a lot of water. And as we already said, there are no rivers there. They don't have a lot of easy sources of water except something called fossil water. Okay, most of the places we get water from are a part of the water cycle, which hopefully you've learned about in science. Water evaporates, goes up into the clouds, then falls down as rain and, goes into a lake or a river or something. And so it just cycles, continually going through that cycle. But sometimes water can get trapped underground in these like sealed pockets where more water doesn't get added. It's just this one time trapped supply of water. Saudi Arabia has some of those, and they're pumping that water out to make these farms work. But at the same time, those pockets aren't getting filled back up. So once it's gone, it's gone. All right, let's see what our next three are. We've got Judaism began in the Middle East, Islam began in the Middle East, or Hinduism began in the Middle East. All three of those are big, important world religions. Which one of those didn't begin in the Middle East? The answer is Hinduism. Hinduism began over in India. Over here, both Judaism and Islam, just like Christianity, began in the Middle East. Okay, the longest poem ever written by one person was written in the Middle East. Next, most Muslims do not live in the Middle East. And finally, internet access is hard to get in the Middle East. Which one is a lie? The bottom one. Internet access is not hard to get in the Middle East. Let's take a look. So this is an illustration out of the book called the Shahnameh. Mr. Murray actually has a copy of this book. It's pretty cool. It's all about heroes fighting all sorts of superhuman monsters and stuff. And yeah, it's pretty epic. I recommend checking it out in another 4 or 5 years. As for most Muslims not living in the Middle East, well, if you look at this chart, about 1 out of every 5 Muslims in the world does live in the Middle East, but that's nothing compared to how many Muslims live in the Asia Pacific region. And finally, as for internet access in the Middle East, most people have smartphones with internet connectivity, and a lot of people have internet in their houses or can go to internet cafes and get access there as well. All right, let's finish this up. So, first, some people still ride camels in the Middle East. Women are not allowed to hold political office in the Middle East, or the world's largest indoor theme park is in the Middle East. Which one is the lie? It's that women are not allowed to hold political office in the Middle East. So, starting with the camel thing, while we already said most people in the Middle East live in big cities, that's true, but there are some people who actually do live in the desert and might use camels to get around. They would be in the minority and not even a very big minority, but there are still some people who do. As for this, is this not a completely epic roller coaster in an indoor amusement park where like the whole thing is inside and air conditioned? Oh my gosh, Mr. Murray would like to ride this someday. And finally, this woman right here, her name is Tansu Çiller. She was the prime minister of Turkey. And as we talked about when we were studying Canada, prime minister is very similar to the office of president. So whereas the United States has still never had a female president, Turkey has, and it's not even the only country in the Middle East that has had a female head of government. So, yeah, it's definitely a lie that women can't hold political office in the Middle East. Okay, that's it on this one. We've got plenty more to learn this week, so I'll go ahead and stop this here. But of course, not without first saying, please stay safe and stay healthy.